You gotta do what you gotta do. I like this pop gun. If you were to design a gun for this game, aspiring game designers in the chat, what gun would you make? How would it work? Tell me this. Tell me this. What would you make if you had to design a gun for this game? I'll read your responses and then I'll come up with something myself. Ah, Big Bandit. Not a good time. Don't have a good weapon to deal with you. Oh, I do have a good weapon to deal with you now. Haha! Come to me, Big Bandit. Ugh. Still a meat sloppy. Alright. A gun that shoots other guns. A fractal gun. So what would happen to those other guns? Would they fire when you shot them? Would they... How would that work? Tell me more. Bounce a lot, but reduce damage and size on bounce. Like a single projectile that bounces a lot, or many projectiles? Because, I mean, they have the flak cannon, which is many projectiles. All their shells bounce. Or are you talking like a one giant projectile that bounces around the level but reduces damage every time it hits a wall? I will read more of the chat once I clear this level. So I don't... Oh wait, no, I need this. I need that. Don't go yet. Okay. Okay. Boop. So let's see. A laser pointer that reflects off walls. So would that be like, you always have a line when you aim, kind of like the crossbow weapons, but they reflect off the wall, and when you shoot, it follows the line? Or would you be going in blind? You don't know how it's gonna reflect. You just fire it and it goes like pew 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 pew, bounces off the walls. That might be a good weapon that you could accidentally kill yourself with. But it'd be kind of cool in tricky situations when you need to fire around a corner, and if you could get it just so, and be like boop 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 boop, and you get around that corner, and there it would be. I think that would be a little like stop and think for this game, you know. But I think it'd be interesting. Flare gun, obviously there is a flare gun in this game actually. There already is one. So Will's gun would shoot smaller guns that would also shoot even smaller guns until the guns are just like shotgun shrapnel. So would the guns also act as projectiles? Like when they hit the enemies, would they do damage? How would that work? One kind of weapon that I made was a sine curve. The bullets traveled in a wave pattern. Okay. I feel like I haven't gotten to use many of the wackier weapons in this game because I'm not good enough. Ah! Oh, I hate shotgun guys. The worst. The worst. Come, little ratties, let me farm you for help. Give me help. Give me help. A gun where the projectile is attached to a string and thus has limited range, and you must reel it back in. How would you do that in this game, given the constraints of the buttons you have to work with? Because you only have... You have WASD, you have the right click, which is your alt fire, and then you have the left click, which is your gunfire. So how would you get that functionality with the limitation of only being able to have the button and the mouse action? I'm curious to what your solution would be. See, I like people, I like asking clarifying questions. That's when you get like your designer brain happening. So I will wait to see what your response to that is. Ah! Because the other thing, because that's one thing, right? Because you have the constraints of the game. You have certain buttons exposed to you that obviously they're not going to add more buttons to this game. That would kind of like change what the game is. So you have to keep the game intact. You have to make a weapon that would make sense in this game with the constraints of this game. You're not like just making a weapon for some other game because it would be cool. You have to make a weapon that makes sense in this game mechanically and thematically. And you have to make a weapon that would make sense with the archetypes of weapons that they already have in this game. Which is kind of related to like the mechanic thing. I really shouldn't take a pop rifle and a triple machine gun. That's silly. That's silliness. Why would I do that? Alright, let's see what people say. Okay. So once it's fired, you'd click left again for it to come back in. Alright. Could you make it, is there anything you could do to affect the, like, what's the trade-off? Because that's a weapon where, you know, you fire it and then you have to, like, draw it back. So that's the trade-off that you're giving is extra time before you can shoot it again. And it has the additional thing of, basically what that is you are actively reloading it. Because you can't shoot it again until it's reeled back in. So you have a button to fire and a button to reload. So what is the trade-off that makes that worth it? Is it just like do a F ton of damage? Is the projectile so big that you can like take out an entire hallway of enemies with it? And the trade-off is like that that it's slow to reload. And the other question is, so that's a design question. That's a design problem to solve. Well, I mean, these are all design problems to solve. But that's like, you know, for about the guns. But the other problem to solve with that particular gun, maybe it could hurt people on the pull-in. That's a good idea. So it launches out, and then you would like position yourself, and then pull it back in, and it could like get everyone on the way back in. The question there is, that's kind of a complicated maneuver. What would make that more, what would make you do that more than just taking another gun and shooting the people that are already in that path? Like, what would make it so that you would want to do that complicated maneuver over just shooting, just switching to like a freaking rifle and just shooting all those people? We're gonna work with this pop gun for a little bit, so hold tight on the other ones. Will, I don't know. It might have been part of the bundle. Did you get the download code bundle? Is there like a different bundle? I don't know. Alright, so answer those questions about the pop gun. Okay, so anyway, that was the one question, is why would it be worth it to do that? To have a projectile go out and then come in and have your positioning determine how it comes in. Because, you know, you could do that with like something that comes back automatically, but this also has the added complexity that you have to activate it to bring it back in. So what makes that worth it? This is the first question. All right, Kyle, answer that, and then I've got more questions about your gun idea. So answer that first. Let's see. Oh no! Assassins, you're the worst. Oh no, I got fired. Okay, Enemies could get impaled like it's some sort of spike ball in the end, and you can sort of call it back and then dodge it and sort of combo it to stick to more enemies and it gets bigger, thus affects more area. So it's kind of like a persistent thing. It has its own progression. Alright, okay, that could be cool. Now the challenge is making that fit in the archetypes of the guns that are already in this game. For example, what kind of ammo would that take? And what does that mean to spend the ammo? Does it just mean that you get a limited number of times that you fire out the thingy based on your ammo? So you want to try and maximize how big you make it before you just like run out? And which ammo type would that take? Because there are the types we have to work with are bullets, we have shells, we have bolts. We have energy and explosives. I think it would be a bolt weapon, personally, based on how you're describing it. Because it kind of has a similar thing. Sorry, I'm gonna read. Oh, so for those of you who just arrived, I asked people to come up if they got to design a gun for this game, what kind of gun would they make? And then a gun was suggested and I started asking questions about, I started bringing up design problems that the gun would introduce and asking for solutions to those problems. So the idea was you had to come up with a gun, but it has to fit within the game. It has to make sense within this game, mechanically and thematically. And so that's where we are. So Carl thought of like a gun that you launch something out and pull it back in. Melee, yeah, melee don't use ammo. They just they're offset by their reload. Some do, like the energy sword uses energy or whatever. So this would be like some sort of weird hybrid between a projectile and a melee weapon, I see. So it wouldn't take ammo, okay. So I guess that could be a trade-off for the complexity involved in using it. Would be that the beneficial trade-off would be that it would not consume ammo. I would be curious to see in the pacing of this game and how you tend to do positioning if those trade-offs would end up being worth it. So the next question is a technical problem that you would have to solve, which is if I like shoot this projectile out and catch a bunch of people on the end of it, and then I switch weapons in the middle of it, what happens? So let's say I've been like building this thing up and I like throw it out there and I switch weapons. What happens to the thing? Does it just go away? And then what happens when I switch back to that weapon? Does it resume the state it was in? Does it shrink again? Does it go back to tiny again? Like, what would you do about those cases? Hello, Big Bandit. I probably should be like reading out your responses directly since the chat won't be available in the stream. Carl says it would be almost like a flail. It should go out straight, like releasing. So you're saying that if you throw this thing out and then switch weapons, it should just continue its forward momentum into infinity and it's like gone, and then when you switch back to it, you've reset and you have like the tiny thing again, maybe? I love how I'm having like class in my stream. This makes me happy. Kyle thinks putting it away would sort of break the combo, like resetting it to its normal size. So, okay, that makes sense. So that like boosts up its trade-off on that end again, because that makes it even more complex to deal with, because it's a combo weapon, and you lose the combo when you put it away. So just keep that in mind. What other problems would you have to solve? How would it interact with walls? Would it ignore walls? If I shot it out and then walked around a wall like this and it was up here and I brought it back in, would it just go straight to the walls? Would it destroy them? Would it like drag the thing through and destroy the walls on the way? That could be kind of fun. Or what else would it do? Oh god, I almost killed myself just then. That was almost death. I need a new weapon. Yeah, like the shot put thing where they spin around, let go to see how far it would go. Also, what relevance would your reticle have? When you fired it out, would it always go to wherever your reticle is? Or would there be some sort of trade-off that it couldn't go as far, it just went in that direction, but it had like a range that it stopped short at? So, Noob thinks that maybe when you pull it back through walls, it would break the rope and reset it. I think that could be very, that could be problematic for the pacing in this game, since you are, like, moving around fast, and since a big part of this game is getting into cover as fast as possible. I think that if it broke, you would end up having problems where you would end up breaking it all the time, because the big thing you're doing with your positioning is putting yourself in the cover. And so you're intentionally putting yourself in these situations where you're intersecting the walls. So just keep that in mind. You have to solve that. I think the size or the weight would affect the ability with the wall. So maybe when it looks like at max combo, it breaks all the walls, but if it's less than, it does not. Kyle thinks that if you perhaps max the size, it breaks the wall. That's what it says. So you could control the initial speed and direction with how far the mouse is. So not only the direction it goes out, but the speed at which it goes out. So what is the advantage of having it go out slowly versus go out fast? So does that mean that if like you have the reticle like right next to you and you fire it, it would still go past the reticle? It would just move slowly? So past the person. So if it's small or light, it would have to retract around the corner. But past a certain threshold, it breaks through the wall. Okay. I think like the biggest challenge with this weapon this theoretical weapon that we're coming up with, is that it is very complicated to operate. And the weapons in this game, like, because of the pacing of the game and because of how you tend to move in the game, I think the most fun weapons are the ones that have simple and obvious results and are simple to operate. So I think that would probably, my crystal ball says that if we made this gun in this particular game and play tested it, that it would end up, the complexity might not be worth the power of it compared to, you know, if you got like the freaking laser minigun. You'd be like, oh, I'm just going to use this, because the trade-off with those is like they're very simple to use and very effective, and they just like consume your ammo. But since this is a game where you don't necessarily want to hang on to your weapons, right? You gotta like adapt. So I think that some amount of disposability in these weapons makes them well suited to the game. In my opinion, it's just one person's opinion. So I think the biggest challenge would be making it make sense just with its complexity. Let's see what other people are saying. Yeah, that's Deadlock. That's why I say just go with a gun that shoots swords. So okay, all right. Let's look at that. Let's look at a gun that shoots swords. What kind of ammo would that be? I imagine that would be like, you know, that would probably be a bolt ammo type. Because they do have like that disc gun that shoots out like saw blades. But what does that mean? What does it mean to shoot out swords? Like, what is it shooting out like? Is it shooting out like a fan of swords? Is it like a spread weapon, like a shotgun? And if so, what makes it different than a shotgun other than the type of ammo that it uses? Like, what is the quality of a sword shooting gun that makes it different enough in function than, you know, some of these things like the splinter gun, right? Which just shoots a spread of bolts, but at a great distance. Can't add new ammo types. Not allowed to add new ammo types. Yay, I'm glad you like my impromptu design class. Maybe I should do this more often. All right, so tell me about this sword shoot. Oh no! Ah, damn. All right, so probably bolt sticks, and when enemies run into them, they get hurt. So not only does the sword gun, you know, shoot a spread, but it leaves things in the environment that can hurt enemies. Do they stick into walls? Where did they fall? Do they have like a range and then they just fall on the ground, and if enemies walk on them, they get hurt? Because fire works kind of like that. Fire has like it kind of creates habit. The fire and the toxic weapons do a similar thing to that. They create little hazard areas, although those are I think those are dots. And if this did flat damage, then it could make it quite different. So there is a difference there. I would stick into the enemy and do bleed damage. Okay. So again, there are weapons that do that mechanically. There are flame weapons and there are toxic weapons that when they stick on like there's the sticky launcher, right, which sticks to an enemy and does a dot. It does toxic damage. So how would this, again, it's a different type of ammo, so it could fill a niche there, that it's using bolts instead of explosives. But otherwise, how would the dot from that be different from the dot from the flame, the toxic? Because the thing about the toxic is it doesn't just do the dot on the dude, it also does dots on, you know, anyone who's nearby the dude. And I think flame might work similarly. So how would that be different enough to justify making it, other than the fact that it uses a different ammo type? I think they are, because I think what it does, the poison, is it just makes a little cloud, one of those little poison clouds over the enemy, so if other enemies walk into it, I believe they take damage. So anyway, back to the sword shooting gun. We're gonna keep on that. So are you imagine? So let's say it sticks in the enemies, and it does a dot. So get away from me! So dots are tricky in this game because you have a lot of weapons at your disposal to just do flat damage. So you got to think, what is the advantage to even using something that's gonna do a dot? And I think they solve that by having having re-up effect thing. So why would I shoot a sword into someone and let a dot kill them when I could just as easily shoot at them with a normal gun and just like do flat damage to them. Let's see what they say. You could possibly pick up some sword shots like in the world to replenish your ammo. Oh, so you could like re-get your shot. So if you, because like one thing, the bolts like stick in the world, but that's just like decoration. So you're saying like they go in, you fire them in the world, and then you can go pick them back up again to replenish your ammo. Interesting. Okay. The green things that come out of everybody, they're an XP currency. It's XP, and when you get enough to fill up this meter, you level up, and that's when you get to pick a mutation on the next screen. They're called rads. They're little radiation nuggets that help you mutate. Okay, so boomerang like spinning swords. So this is the out and back thing again. Like the previous gun, only this is like automatic. It goes out and back. Now, they do have a disc gun, which bounces off of walls and returns back to you, and it can kill you. Which is why I never use it unless I'm playing Crystal, which I can shield and bounce them back off. But it sounds like you're not talking about like reflecting off the environment, but rather just like going out and back, regardless. Maybe the portal doesn't suck up the swords. But then, like, you want it to suck up your weapons because that's what carries it to the next area. That way you have to be careful. Why would you have to be careful? Explain that. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Explain what you mean by that. Oh, I see. To balance infinite replenishment capacity. I see. So when the portal open, it doesn't take any swords with it. It just, so like you can't like use it between levels. Yeah, that was actually another problem that I was going to raise, was if you can pick up your projectiles again. Well, maybe you couldn't pick them up if they were like in a dude. Maybe you could only pick them up if they landed in the environment. But here's another question, right? Okay, so we're saying these take bolts. So why would you? I mean, I guess I could see it in like dire straits when you're like super low and there's no ammo. That might be useful. But since your ammo is independent of the gun, like you just have bolt ammo. How would you balance that? Because you can't. You don't know how many bolts someone has at any given time. So would that be a problem? Would it be a problem if it was just like, oh, I don't care about picking stuff back up because I can get like 10 bolts in a box? Why would I care about going for my 1 bolt in the environment? Although I could see how it might come in handy for dire straight situations. Oh, get away from me, rat! I'm trying to have game design class here. You're making it hard. Let's see what people say. So anyway, let's go back to that dot. How do we make it so a dot weapon is good enough to be worth caring about in this game? Doop, 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 doop. Doop, 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 doop. Limits ammo replenishment. Oh, for the like sticking into dudes. Yeah. La 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 la. I'm so busy running class and I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing, so I'm not doing very well. Ah! Any comments on the dot? Otherwise, we can try and come up with a new weapon to a new weapon for me to like crush the hopes and dreams of. When I say dot, I mean damage over time. Because you said that maybe when it sticks in the enemy, it would do, like, it would tick damage on them, which is damage over time. And that's when I was talking about, like, the other weapons that have dot effects in this game, which are, like, the toxic weapons and the flames, and how they make that trade-off worth it in a couple of ways, and one of those ways is making it an area of effect and not just on the thing it's stuck in. Oh my god, there's an assassin right there in front of my face. I didn't even see him. Oh, a shovel. I don't want it. I don't want it. Who's still alive? I think it could be somewhat decent, big upfront damage for when it hits, and then the damage ticks start up. So it has bigger upfront damage than like toxic or flame. I guess it would be useful against like beefy I can't even speak, enemies maybe. But still, would it be more worth it than just, oh shit, just firing a straight flat damage gun? You could make the damage weak, but have build up the dot effect. Maybe allow the sword stuck in the enemy to cause bleed on others. But again, that's the same problem. Is in the pacing of this game, which is relatively fast-paced game. Why would you choose? Why would you choose a slow damage method? Like, what is the advantage of that in the context of this game, which is fast-paced and has many flat damage weapons? What does it give you? Plague thrower. Oh, we had a plague thrower in Resistance 3. Only we couldn't call it the plague thrower because that name was copyrighted. Oh man, it was such a good name. The plague thrower in Resistance. The reason it was a good dodge weapon in a action shooter type game was that it was crazy overpowered, because what would happen would be, you know, you'd plague someone and then they would like plague the people next to them, and it would start this chain reaction of plague. And when you leveled that gun up, oh my god, when you level it up, not only would the people get plagued, but then they would just start running towards other enemies and plaguing them. So you could like set off these chain reactions in rooms of just like people just running around, and everyone was plaguing everyone and like bursting out into these gross ass pustules, and it was super overpowered. But the reason we ended up making it super overpowered was because when we made it require some finesse, no one used it, because people were like, this weapon has all this finesse, I'm just gonna freaking use a shotgun. Why do I bother? So we made it super OP, and it just like blew through your ammo. So it was fun to use because it had all this feedback and did all these cool things. It was really OP, so you wanted to use it. But it blew through all your ammo, so it still gave you like a strategic choice about when you would want to use this gun. We had to solve that with all. We had 3 exotic weapons, and well, I mean all the weapons are crazy, but 3 in particular, we had to address that problem, and that was the plague thrower, or the mutator rather. It was the cryo gun, which was the ice weapon, and the EMD, which was, what did we call that? The atomizer. All of these weapons worked a little differently. The atomizer was a beam weapon, which we didn't really have many of those in the game, and it like sort of bounced off of each other. And the ice weapon was also a beam weapon that froze everyone, and then you could use the alt fire to shatter them. And at first we were like, we gotta make these balanced, they're too overpowered. But when we made them like balanced, no one wanted to use them because it was just easier to use the other guns to get the job done. So what we had to do with those weapons was be like, alright, these are not weapons for just getting the job done. These are weapons used because they're super freaking powerful and have really awesome effects. And we balance that by making the ammo for them rather scarce. So you want to keep them for special occasions. When you have like a really hard setup, you just want to like blow through that setup, you use one of the exotics. And that's how we solved that problem. Why are my game design class starting at 6 a.m.? Sorry, my European friend. Alright, the donut thrower. Let's talk about the donut thrower. What kind of ammo does it use? I could really go for a donut right now. I still have a freaking revolver. I have not been paying attention to what I'm doing at all. I've been busy teaching freaking game design class. I'm never gonna get to the throne at this rate, you guys. I don't even have a good weapon. I don't even know what mutations I have. I've just been picking them. Just haven't even been paying attention. Oh my god. No, it can't use a custom ammo. It has to use an existing ammo in the game. We're not just designing cool weapons. We're designing a weapon for this game, which means we have to operate within its constraints. That's okay, because operating within constraints is how you get to be a good designer. Because you have to, we're solving a problem here. We're not just making something because it's cool. Aw, best Twitch stream. That's so sweet. I'm glad you think so. Eclairs are not an ammo type in this game. I'm afraid, Kyle, you are out of luck. Alright. I think that was a fun exercise. Okay, so now I'm going to give you guys homework. Are you ready? Are you ready for homework? Your homework is to go think about this some more and maybe play the game. And next time I stream, I'm going to have the question again. And I want you to really think about this game and the constraints of the game and the archetypes of the game and what makes this game this game. What makes Nuclear Throne Nuclear Throne. And it's not just putting a bunch of fucking screen shake on the weapons. So you want you to think about it, and I want you to each come back with a weapon that fits within the archetypes and that makes sense within this game. After some thinking. That's your homework. Yeah, you make a good point that in Resistance you get a weapon at the point and like you just have that weapon, right? I mean, you can replay it with the weapon, but the weapons are spread out among the game. And you have this with Little too, because the way the spawning works, like the super, you don't get the freaking laser minigun until like Snowy Snowland at least, So they do that a little bit, right? You don't spawn the super powerful weapons early on in this game. They solve that a little bit. The thing with Resistance is once you pick up a weapon, you keep it. It's in your weapon wheel forever, and this game does not do that. You have to be scrappy and take what you can find at the time you can find it. So there is a difference there as well. But in terms of like having complex to use weapons that are super powerful as a way to incentivize using them, period, I think that might apply still. I gave you homework last week and you didn't do it. So this is new homework. Yes, the ammo types: shells, bolts, explosive energies, and buckets. Which was a typo of bullets, but I like the idea of buckets as an ammo type. Oh, you'll buy this game just for that homework? I'm sure those Lambier guys will appreciate that. Alright, and with that, how often do I stream? I stream when I feel like it. Which means sporadically at best. The only thing we're doing regularly is the Saturday night Alien streams. But I don't know, I won't stream tomorrow night because I have class. And Wednesday might be a time for a stream. Friday nights might be a time for a stream. But the other thing is I'm going to be playing Sunset Overdrive this week, so I may not be streaming much Nuclear Throne. But I will stream for you guys so you can turn in your homework. So I gotta do, like, even if I'm doing a lot of Sunset, I will do a special Nuclear Throne stream just so you guys can turn in your homework. So what works for you, folks? Kyle says there is some kind of irony in using a Vlambeer game for academic purposes. What do you mean by that? I don't think it's ironic at all. I think it's a good design exercise. Just throwing that out there. There, you can learn from many different places. Friday, eh? Alright. Alright, how about this? Friday night. I don't know what time, maybe like 8 or something. Yeah, you're in Europe, so how about this? I'll do a Friday night stream, and I'll do a Saturday morning stream, which is like afternoon for you, so that you can turn in your homework. In before next week's homework is for Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox One. No, see, now I've gotta think of more homework to give. This is gonna be fun. I like this idea, you guys. Alright, this is gonna be my last run because I really seriously do need to do my own homework for my Korean class. I gotta translate some freaking words or something nonsense. Oh my god, this is the worst! Look at this! Look at the timing of these traps. This is a terrible trap. Ugh, it's the worst, and I died. Oh. I guess that makes sense, Kyle. Whatever. Kyle says it's ironic because Vlambeer formed out of 2 game devs disgruntled with the education system dropping out and forming a studio. Sweet. Alright, you guys, I gotta do my own homework. Thanks so much for stopping by the stream. And we'll do this again, hopefully Friday. Someone on Twitter, like, remind me at some point, so I don't forget. And I'll make a highlight of this class so that you can review it and think about it. What's in the Sunset Overdrive Day 1 edition? I have freaking no idea, honestly. I really don't. I think maybe you get some weapon skins or some nonsense. You might get like the multicolored high fidelity. I don't know, actually. You probably get like some weapon unlocks and costume unlocks. Yeah. Okay, kids. Good night. Have a great night. Do your homework. I'm gonna highlight the stream. Okay, bye-bye.